Hey guys, Dominator of the World here, doing a commentary video on Empire Total War multiplayer. In this battle, this is actually a 2 versus 2 battle, which is my first ever that I've ever done in this game, ever. So, my opponent and my ally decided to go with Indian nations, and my ally went with the Cherokee, while my opponent, T.I. Dude, chose the Huron-Wyandot tribe. For this battle, I decided to go with the U.S., while my other opponent decided to go with the British, and his name is Durga. So right now I'm gonna list out what we have, what me and my ally have in our armies. Since they're basically all spread out, I can't give specific locations. So what I have is 2 light dragoons, 3 long riflemen, 6 line infantry, and 3 minutemen. My ally, Arm .67, has 8 Muskogee tribesmen, 1 Creek horse riders, 8 tribesmen, and 2 warriors. So this battle actually took about 45 minutes, so I had to skip a lot of it, and so it's going to be super heavily edited. So a lot of the battle is going to be skipped, and all the marching is going to be skipped, so there's no marching at all. But most of the battle is gonna, at the end, is gonna be skipped. Okay, so the battle has already started, and me and my ally decided to camp and make a little ambush for our enemies. And my ally, who supposedly is the best Indian player on this game in the world, so he claims, told me to stay back and make some ambush moves, which I decided to do. Since this was my first 2 versus 2 player and I didn't want to lose. So, as you can see, here's one of my ambush parts. And I put one of my line infantry in the trees. And they're meant to be scouters, but eventually I just moved a section of my army there to be my first part. And over here, on the other side of the battlefield, I sent one of my light dragoons to assist my ally in his fight with the Huron-Wyandot tribe. And right here, my ally has charged his Indians into his opponent's Indians. So, this is my first time watching Indians fight each other. Well, Indians fight at all. So, it's pretty strange watching melee fights in a Empire Total War. Alright, so now we're back on my side of the battlefield, and this is a couple of minutes later. He charged his cav into my line infantry in the woods, so I got them into square, and we managed to rout them. But then he followed up with his line infantry, and he did that on my center too. So in the center he managed to rout my long riflemen, but my line infantry are still fighting. And here's a close-up of the little bayonet fight we're in. And also I have another line infantry unit in the woods farther back, and they're surrounded by 3 British units, so but they're gonna put up a good fight before they rout. So, yeah. For this battle, I split my army into 3 sections again, like I have been doing previously. And the point of this was to make it into basically 3 little private armies, so that they can each face the British and occasionally, generally bring down their numbers so that they can eventually be manageable. And my opponent was not expecting me to hide a lot of my units the way I did. So he was very shocked with the way I presented my units, because he really thought I only brought out the 2 units that he could see. So that's why he advanced. So anyways, my first army routed, and my ally, seeing this, is a bit worried and sends in his Cherokee to aid my guys. And I wasn't really anticipating this, because I thought I had everything under control, and but I didn't tell him to not do it, so he decided to do it. So now his Indians are gonna fight the Redcoats, And this is actually a good distraction for me because it gave me enough time to get my other army into position. And I'm basically going to give them the same build that my first army had, which is a skirmisher unit and a couple of line infantry. And I'm eventually going to, once they're ready, I'm going to move them forward. And by the time they get into the right position, his guys are going to rout, which is going to give me enough time to fire shots without shooting my allies. And now we're back on my ally side of the battle. And he's sending a huge horde of Cherokee to attack a couple of Huron-Wyandot guys. And this scene is actually really cool because it looks like it's almost out of a movie scene where the Indians get out of the forest in an ambush attempt. And I only noticed this in the movie because in the replay, because I was paying attention to the battle, to my side of the battle whenever the actual battle happened. So here's his Indian charge, and they charge into T.I. Oladeed's mounted tribesmen gunners. So we're gonna go back to my side now while they're fighting. And more Arm 67 has sent in more Cherokee to the fight because he sent in 3 units at first and that wasn't enough to hold them, so he sent in even more. But that's still not going to be enough to hold them. But it's going to prolong the distraction, which is going to give me even more time to set up my units into a way that I like them. So, as you can see, Oladeed sent in more of his Huron-Wyandot tribesmen to help his British allies out. So that sort of reinforced our enemy's forces, but it didn't really make much of a difference in the end. So you can already see some of the Cherokee are routing, and my line infantry are just going to stand there until all of them rout, so that I can fire without firing on my allies. Alright, so some of the British troops are routing too, though, so I gotta give thumbs up to those Cherokee. My ally definitely knows how to use the Indians. And Indians in Empire Total War are not recommended. I wouldn't recommend them because they don't really have much ranged units. They're more of a melee type. And so it puts them in a very big disadvantage if you're the Indians and you play against a nation like Russia or Prussia or Britain, or basically any other advanced nation. So anyways, the battle with the Indians rages on, and to repay the debt that my ally gave me, I decided to make a little distraction of my own, and I sent in my other unit of light dragoons to give a little distraction. And here, all of his Cherokee have routed now, so my guys are opening fire. And I've sent my Minutemen in a way so they can give some flanking fire after they take care of the Huron-Wyandots. And I sent my long riflemen to the top of this hill so they can take sniping shots without being harassed. So that was the opportunity, and I took it. And once the enemy, even when the enemy's out of range, my long riflemen are still going to be taking shots. Okay, so back to Arm 67's side of the battlefield. His Cherokee have started to rout, and I don't really blame them because his opponent put a ton of experienced chaperones on his, or not chaperones, chevrons on his units. As you can see, all of his Indian units have 3 chevrons, so they're really experienced and very highly upgraded. So that put him in a bit of a disadvantage, and I would say in this case, quality is better than quantity, because as you can see, his Indians are basically doing nothing. I mean, even whenever he outnumbers his opponent by 10 to 1, his opponent can pull through. So this is basically the ending of the battle. Our opponents decided to retreat into the woods to make their final stand, and we had to chase them. And so my ally decided to take on the Huron-Wyandots again, and I decided to take on the British again. And I defeated the British, since I still had 2 sections of my armies left out of 3, and one of them wasn't even used, so they were full. But in the end, we managed to rout them. So that's the end of the battle. My first 2 versus 2 battle. Good game to all my opponents, and well done to my ally. Hope you guys enjoyed this video.